Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Batshit Crazy. If you're wondering why I look like I have way more energy than normal, it's because we do. We're recording at noon today. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a special, shorter episode today because we got some group stuff planned tonight that had to happen tonight. So, we're
Absolutely
making it
had to
work.
happen.
Well, we have to do the show anyway. So, we're here for you.
The people.
Yeah, we do have an idea for maybe some longer form kind of retrospective on some Star Wars series videos coming maybe starting next week. So if that's your jam, check out for that. But today we are going to talk about
What?
future game releases coming in this year and possibly next. Because I know some stuff got bumped back that I was interested in this year, but is now in 2026. So without further ado, Kyle, what do you have? Anything you're excited for in the month of April?
In the month of April? I don't know what's coming out in April. I just know that Crimson Desert was announced for the end of 2025, and that game looks like a blast. Have you seen trailers for I mean, I've sent you some, but have you done any digging on Crimson Desert?
I know what you've sent me. I watched trailers. For anybody that doesn't know, why don't you give a little sneak preview?
Crimson Desert is a new open world fantasy game coming out, and the people making it said that it's gonna take the best elements from both Assassin's Creed and, what was the other one? The Witcher, Witcher 3. And so you're gonna blend these 2 elements to make an open world giant fantasy game. That's if you told me nothing else about it, if I didn't see anything about it, I
Forgive me.
think it
Is
looks
it an MMO? I can't remember if I'm
no,
confusing that with something else.
no, it's, not an MMO. It's gonna be solo player.
What is the other game that I was thinking of that was some giant MMO that's like space kind of tech that was supposed to be kind of a like it looked amazing. I can't remember the game. It had like that I don't know weird looking like praying mantis helicopter thing, and it was like a supposed to be like a new age MMO that's not going to be your old school type, but I'm totally blanking on it. If anybody remembers,
Uh,
put that down in the
a
comments.
praying mantis spaceship. You're
That
not
might have,
talking about Dune, are you? You're not talking about the new Dune game coming out? I don't know if
maybe I
that's an
am.
MMO.
Uh, Maybe that
Let's
is what
do
I'm
let's
thinking of.
do Dune
Dune
video
Awakening
game.
MMO.
Is it an MMO?
That's something's pulling up when I type that. That could be it.
Let's look. On today's episode, research.
Yeah, it's great radio.
Uh, yeah, it's great, great radio, exactly.
Watch me look at my phone.
Um, Look at my stuff.
I think that was what I
Uh,
was thinking of possibly. I thought I had a different name, but maybe not.
Open world multiplayer survival game on a massive scale. Yeah, yeah, that might
Massive.
be it. Well, and that's one of the things that, like, jumped to mind as soon as you said, like, and so I picture 'em more like dragonflies because of the movie, and I think they're trying to capture the movie aesthetic, the new movies, not the old movies.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
still not in on the Dune bandwagon. I need to get on it. I know they're good. I just haven't. I don't know
they're
why.
good, but they're long, and they're very Dune is the most Zack Snyder project I've ever seen not be directed by Zack Snyder. Uh, I liked number 2. I thought number 2 was more entertaining, like, more happened, but plot-wise, less happened somehow. More action, less plot. It was a good setup for the final movie. I know they got apparently this podcast is just gonna be about Dune now. Uh, I know they've got a new TV show with, the dude that played Ragnar from Vikings. He was also in Raised by Wolves, Travis Fimmel? I don't remember how to pronounce his name, but he's in the show that I haven't watched.
Oh, yeah. I'm gonna check Dune out eventually, and then we can talk about it and
Ooh,
have some fun.
fun. Jason Momoa's in the first one, and he is
Oh, you sold
as
me there.
Momoa as he's as Momoa as he comes. Momoa as he comes.
No, what is go? He's as Mo as he comes.
He's as Moa as he comes. Eh, that's just canon now, like microtransgressions.
I really like that, honestly. So we've already had Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, Avowed, Civ 7. There's so many releases already this year. Such a small window. And now coming out in March, looking down the list as far as what might interest us anyway.
Assassin's Creed Shadows, we talked about that.
That have we? I don't know if we
We
have.
talked about it a little bit. I don't Neither one of us were
Yeah,
extremely
it's one of
excited
those
about it.
where I think it's going to be Assassin's Creed. I don't see anything changing heavily, but maybe we'll be surprised.
Is that the one where everyone's already thrown a fit because they have an ethnic character in there?
Oh, I don't know about that. I thought everybody's throwing a fit because the game got leaked somehow. This game has the worst luck of any game. Somebody got a hold of early copies and stole them from a warehouse, and people have been playing it and releasing footage, and it's just like they cannot catch a break over at the Ubisoft.
Oh, yeah, because Ubisoft needs a break.
Yeah, they really don't. Screw Ubisoft. They are the Sith Empire.
They are the microtransgressions.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah,
Commando's
so
Origins.
I thought that was the one that featured an ethnic character that may not have been historically accurate about a game that's
Yeah,
about
yeah, yeah.
historical fiction.
You're right about
And it's
that.
like,
There was
let's
something.
throw a fit about this character in the world of Assassins where we just, you know,
Yeah,
we can
it's
time
it
travel
really.
using DNA.
I have a
It's
problem with that too, where it's like you're playing a video game. I, it's not supposed to
Get
be
over it.
a
Yeah.
timepiece. It's it is what it is. Just there's more things you can complain
Well,
about than that.
and that's the thing about it too, is like if customization for characters was a thing, like an actual thing in this, and the option to have a blue character was there, there'd be like 20% of the fan base would just make a blue character. They'd
I
all
know.
be like,
I'd
"Oh,
be
this
all
is
about it.
Thrawn." Yeah, I would too. It's a video game. Get over it, people. Let's see. Man, March is a little dry. It looks like a bunch of
Yeah, not a whole lot. Days Gone remastered. There you go. If you never played the first time around, you can play it again.
what is that?
That is the zombie game that came out. Oh, I want to say like 2018 ish, maybe. It was story game, had giant hordes. Pretty fun. I liked it. Had some bugs at launch, which is kind of why it got some bad rap. But yeah, if you haven't played it, pick it up. Worth playing. Got a
So
fun
yeah,
horde mechanic.
looking forward in the months to come, it looks like May's going to be the first. We got the Doom, the Dark
Oh,
Ages,
I'm kind of excited for
and
that.
Capcom Fighting Collection 2. I don't know. I just saw Capcom and got excited, and then immediately let down.
Oh, there's Dune Awakening right
uh,
there.
Dune Awakening comes out in May,
Yep.
which if that's an
PC.
MMO, that might be worth some attention.
Yeah.
Um, June looks dry.
Tales of the
July,
Shire.
yeah, July, Tales of the Shire, a Lord of the Rings game, PC and console. And then August, there's your Metal Gear Solid game, Snake
Yeah.
Eater.
Snake Eater. I'll be there for that.
That's when Zach will disappear on us for about a month.
I'll still be here. I'll be talking about a Snake Eater though. Borderlands
While we
4.
play Star Wars.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah,
You're gonna
and
need to get
then
in through the Borderlands series. Catch you up.
ugh, man, I still haven't finished Dragon Age. Um, I made a plan.
Boo.
That was my downfall. I made a plan on how I was
Yeah,
gonna
you did.
game out, and then it just
You need
you're
to
like, "Hey,
just
you wanna play that 15-year-old
freewheel
game
it.
Star Wars?" Of course I do. So okay, it doesn't look like they've got a hard announce for Crimson Desert yet, but for those wondering what Crimson Desert is, the overview, it's an upcoming action adventure game developed and published by Pearl Abyss. The game is scheduled to release for PC, PlayStation 5, Mac OS, and Xbox Series X late 2025. And that's all we get. Um,
Which
yeah,
probably means 2026, but we'll see. Hopefully not.
maybe. But Yeah, the gameplay trailers they've released so far, you get to much in the same way like Assassin's Creed Valhalla, you go on raids, it looks like, and you're gonna raid villages and stuff. But instead of just bulldozing your way through enemies, it looks like there'll be the option to ride a dragon or something and burn them down from the
Who
sky. And
doesn't love that option?
I personally love that option. Who doesn't like burning cities to the ground with dragons? Again, not advocating for fantasy violence. However, it is just a fantasy, and maybe we can be a little violent.
I mean, Grand Theft
Um,
Auto might come out, so you're talking about violence.
right. Uh, this aesthetic is very Game of Thrones-ish. Like he's wearing a fur mantle. So it looks good. That's one I'm excited about. That one and will it come out this year? Will it come out in 2 years? Who knows? But Light No Fire.
Yeah, I thought we would have saw something by now, but they're really keeping that one tight to the vest, which I think it could mean they might just drop it one day too. It wouldn't put it
It just
past them.
shows up.
Yeah, they seem to have learned their lesson. And if you have not played No Man's Sky, it's not a game for everybody. But if you like that sort of vibe, as far as just a low key collecting resources, building stuff, flying around, it's the game is nothing like what it was when it launched, and it's phenomenal. It really is. I have
So
lots of
this
hours into
game
it.
This game so the thing that I think escapes first attention about, No Man's Sky is, like, it really is a crafting building game, like, it's a survival game too, but there really is a lot of options and a lot of ways to explore their build system, and you can do all kinds of things. I mean, I've built bat caves and I've built Stargate headquarters and you can customize your ship, you can customize your planets, you can just straight up claim a planet, settlements and all kinds of stuff. And so when I see the trailer for Light No Fire, it's really interesting because whereas in No Man's Sky, everything's kind of an individual, like it's very you interact, it's cross-platform, you can play with your friends. But the way that one's marketed as opposed to this, like all the trailers we've seen so far for Light No Fire is you're with a group, you're with a party. You're so I wonder if they're going to introduce like a follower system you can have story campaign for companions, or if it's really truly they're pushing it to be play with your friends kind of game, whereas they didn't really do that for No Man's Sky.
Yeah, I do think it's going to be more group focused for sure. Based on that, I hope they add a follower system. That would be something in No Man's Sky that I also would have liked. It can get a bit lonely at your bases, I suppose, if they added. I know you can get some
Yeah,
specialists and stuff that stand there, but it'd be kind of cool if they had some people you could just wander around and have some sort of interaction with. And I don't know if that's going to come to no light, no fire, but I definitely think they are pushing more the group play. I'm assuming it will be a solo game as well that you can do by yourself, but I think they are
I
focusing
mean
on that aspect of it.
they all kind of are right. You got Valheim and Ark, which can be played as solo player games, but I mean Valheim, I would not have enjoyed that if we had not tackled it together as a group first.
I think
That
this
just
one's
wouldn't
going to
have
be
been my
less
thing.
exploration based because I mean obviously it's going to have stuff to explore, but I think No Man's Sky it does make sense if you're a lone space person that you're going to be lonely in space. That kind of tracks, but I think this game's probably going to be less on the exploration side
Yeah,
as far as focused in its
there
direction.
seems to be there seems to be more presented at surface level too, because like, you're going through I remember one of the shots from the trailer one of the trailers is, like, you're walking through this ancient ruin, but, the inhabitants, which are all bunny people, the bunny people were
Mm.
there, and they were, like, bowing or some so it certainly seems to be it seems like there'll be some kind of faction related quests, just like from first glance.
I mean, had
And
um, Hello Games not made this game, I might be more skeptical because it could run into the same issues as all the procedural games where and it still might as far as might get repetitive and you're going to see the same assets. over and over again, like a Starfield, where you once you've been to a couple planets and see the spawned bases, they're all the same after a while. And I kind of worry that might happen here, but Hello Games especially has made so much progress with No Man's Sky and seems to really understand what they need to do now that I have faith more than I would have with any other studio doing this. But yeah, I'm excited for it. I really hope it comes this year or next. I assume it has to be ready soon. They've been working on this thing for a long time, and based on the
Oh, long
update for
time, yeah.
the recent update for No Man's Sky that gave the whole new graphical overhaul, it seems like they're pretty confident that things polished and working to implement it in that game. So I can't imagine it's a year out, but it could be.
So
Maybe they're just
they
biding their
with
time.
one of the things with this game that has me, I don't wanna say confused, but maybe I'm just misunderstanding the scope here, is they keep saying that procedurally generated planet the size of Earth. Now, like, what does that mean? Does it mean that it's going to take, 16 hours to cover the distance between, like, Michigan to Florida traveling on Dragonback? Or does that mean it's only, like, the 3rd largest planet in the solar system? Like, how how do you how do you measure that in a video game? Like, what does the size of Earth mean
I
procedurally generated inside a video game, especially when their history comes off of a space game where every planet in that game seems like Jupiter size. What is it what does that
Yeah, as
mean?
far as like, yeah, how I mean, I guess we're not going to see it from space, so I suppose that doesn't matter. But I guess it, I think it means if you take it from No Man's Sky, somebody did actually walk around a whole planet once and spent that amount of time, just hours walking. And I don't know why we need a planet that big for this game. That like you said, it's kind of confusing because if you're going to play in say groups of, I don't know what the limit is, but let's just say a even 5-person group, it, that just seems huge and unnecessary in my opinion. And why couldn't you just make a more handcrafted world at that point? I mean, and that's why some people are don't like this game. I've seen the flack as far as, well, what are we doing in this game? It's like they're just going to be wandering around, and I think it's a game made tailored for you and I as far as people who don't necessarily care about the story and stuff. We like it, but you and I can play Ark and not do anything story related and just build things and have our little fantasy adventure on our own
Yeah,
heads.
can
Some
can
people are
have our
not like
own
that.
head
Yeah.
headcanon.
And I
Yeah.
get other people just, I want a story that's going to cater, pull me through the whole thing, and that's it. I don't want to imagine anything. Just tell me what to do. And I think it might not be a game for those kind of people. Same with No Man's Sky.
Yeah,
A lot of it's like it's in your own head. So
it really is kinda just baffling, not baffling, but interesting the more you think about it. Because like, what if the intent is, like, you start as a tribe of 1 or a tribe of 4 or 5 or however people can be in their guild or party or whatever. How long would it take them expansion-wise, exploration-wise to run into another set of players, right? Maybe it really is just like you start on the equivalent of Ohio and, like, maybe eventually you're
well,
trading with
that's
somebody in,
a
like,
good point.
London distance.
I don't know what this game is either. That's the other thing is it going to be server based to where we're all playing in one server, or is this going to be, have they announced that, or is this going to be like we're hosting our own server as far as I'm like, say I run a dedicated server off my PC and we have our own little world. Is it that, or are there official servers that we're all going to be in there, or is it going to be like No Man's Sky where there is other players, but you kind of never see them, kind of thing? I don't know what their plan is for that. It'd be interesting to see because yeah, I could see a Earth-sized planet if you have 100 people per server or something like that. That would make sense and be kind of cool to eventually see some people as long as they don't
Yeah.
make it where it's PvP and then everybody can just murder you and steal your stuff. But I
Yeah, I
don't
I
know.
remember when, before No Man's Sky launched, I had a buddy that was really excited for the game, and he's like, "The game is constantly expanding. You can play for 1,000 hours and never run into another player." And I remember thinking, What's the point? Why would you host a world that everyone can access if you never run
Yeah,
into anybody?"
And based
And
on their
so
history
I
as a studio, I
yeah,
don't think they are one to, at least unless they're doing a complete about face. They're not. They don't seem to be someone that wants to do PvP, toxic kind of gameplay, like akin to maybe like an Arc, where official servers people are trapping you right at the start and murdering you for fun.
right.
I don't think that's something they want to do, so I don't see that being the case here. Or maybe they'll have PvP servers and PvE servers, but I'm not sure if they even are going that route yet. It might just be we all host our own server and play with your friends, and that's it. Guess we need more information, but
Yeah, they really are playing that close to the chest. I mean, it's in genre it crosses a couple genres. It's survival game, adventure game, role playing, video game, fighting game, adventure.
mhm.
And which I guess can kind of sort of describe No Man's Sky outside of the fantasy. I mean, swap it out for sci-fi anyway.
Yeah,
But it's just
I think it will
they're
have a
really
similar
playing it
vibe
close
to
to
No
the
Man's
chest.
Sky,
Yeah.
which is good because I mean Sean Murray got in trouble last time for lying flat out about what No Man's Sky was at launch, and he was doing all those interviews and being on every single channel known to man and saying how this game's going to change the face of gaming forever. And then the game came out, and it was like, what the hell is this? So he's learned, and I've heard interviews from him, and he seems genuinely upset about what happened. And I don't know if he was forced to say that stuff or if he just was that excited and they couldn't deliver, but they've learned their mistakes for sure. And I think their work with No Man's Sky now is testament to that. So I have faith they're gonna put something out there. Whether it's gonna be something for everyone, I don't know. I think you and I will like it. I almost guarantee. But whether the everyone else is, and I think it's just gonna have its niche. And if you like No Man's Sky, you like No Man's Sky. If you don't, it's just not your cup of tea. That's just kind of how the game is, and which is fine. We need more games like that, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I don't want games that appeal to everybody because they genuinely end up
Oh,
meh.
well, hell, that's why I'm one of the 12 people left in the world still playing V Rising. Uh,
Well,
but
that game did really well, actually.
it's still doing real well. It's just
I don't know
not
what the player
Halloween,
count is,
so
but yeah, I mean, it came out a while ago now. I mean, that thing was in early access for a while too, so that's kind of why. I kind of wish
um,
games would stop doing that. I understand the need for early access. Like if you're doing something like say Larian did, where you're taking the feedback and really implementing it in the final product, but man, it's just more. I guess I have to stop playing them. I guess, but like I don't know. I played a lot of games in early access, and then I play with what they had done. But then after that, I don't have the pull to come back when it's finished because I've already put so much time in, and that's kind of I think a problem for some companies. It's like they put out this 50, 60, 70% of your game for a long time, and then people play it, and then the finished product comes around, and they're like, that's enough, or they just don't have the drive to start over and get back into it, and that's a problem for me
yeah,
too. Is if I play a game and then I stop, and it's so hard for me to get back into it. I know some people can just jump back into games and be like, okay, this is where I was. I need to start over. I'm just like fresh slate. That doesn't matter
it
how many
depends
hours.
if I've played it before, I
Yeah,
can
that's
jump
true.
back in flawlessly. Like, if I'm doing a replay, I can jump back in anytime. But I'm a lot the same way as I'm I'm a lot the same way? I'm the same way a lot that I need to I need to if I'm doing the story for the first time, I kinda need to watch it all the way through in order to remember everything that happened.
Yeah,
Um, Last update for V Rising was, oof, for Christmas. So, there's
that's
that.
another game. Yeah, we can promote that. If you have not played that, I do recommend it. I've put a lot of time into it twice.
Yeah, that's
Kyle,
a
it's his favorite thing. He loves
I
it
love it.
to death.
I love it.
If you are,
Um,
if you
just
love
started my second playthrough.
yeah, you like the top down vampire adventure. It's not a building game, which is one thing I wish they would
Oh, I disagree.
change. Well,
It's
okay, it is a
100% a
building
building
game,
game.
but it's not a free building game, I suppose I should say. It's not one you can build your own. It's not an Arc style where you can
No, there
necessarily
are
manipulate things to, and I do think that game would benefit from a different camera perspective because that's one of my only gripes was the building. Is I don't like the top down looking at my castle that way. If I like the rest of the game is fine that way, but I wish I could turn it down and be inside of it somehow. Honestly, I think the
Can't get
game in general would be good from that perspective if they could just rotate the down to the normal character thing. I think I would enjoy the game even more. I get what they're doing with the tabletop thing, but and it's a whole different system at that point. You're making a whole different game, but yeah, that's my one.
the build mechanic is definitely interesting. You can tilt the camera so it's always top down, but you
Yeah,
can make it almost first person, almost, or third person, I should say. And the biggest difference in this build mechanic versus say Arc, you can drop a foundation anywhere you want, and you can build off that single foundation. This one, there's plots, which I think really comes into play with your PvP servers that I haven't been on, but you have to
yeah,
more or less acquire your plot. You gotta set your castle heart down. Your all of your foundations have to be touching. So, for example, you can't put a castle heart down and then build on the separate end of the plot. Everything's gotta connect, which
yeah.
is the one part I don't really like. But there's ways around that cosmetically where you can like put gravel paths down or dirt paths down. But yeah, you have full customization of the interior and exterior of your castle. There's
Well, if you're
there's that you
someone
can do
that
it
is
from anywhere.
overwhelmed by, say, an arc type building system, this might be a better choice for you because it is you can do a lot of stuff creatively, but it's not the you need to figure out how to make this all work and very
Mhm.
intensive in that perspective. It's very just snap and go. So yeah, if that kind of thing
Yeah, it is
overwhelms
snap
you,
and go.
it's fun. You don't have to build anything elaborate. You can do your own little make it work function thing. But yeah, it's really good. It's got a lot of bosses to fight. You can do them in any order you see fit, and yeah, it's really good. A huge map, beautiful, different biomes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I think before the devs went quiet on us, they were talking about adding much more. Maybe that's why they disappeared. They're hard at work. Who knows?
hopefully.
But yeah, that's definitely it's definitely one of my favorite games for building, and I would say it's definitely a seasonal game. Like I unless you're like really into vampires and that whole lore and mythology and stuff like that. This is not. It's the middle of the summer. I'd rather be playing a vampire game. It's a
Yeah,
seasonal game.
yeah, you can definitely get a really
So I
nice
was
playthrough for it.
I was pulling up the website while we were talking for Dune Awakening. Um, it looks like yeah, there's gonna be a lot to offer here. Looks like there'll be some semblance of a class system, character customization, um, build your own Dune. Uh, so there's base building in this game. Uh, the whole thing on their website on like all the different uh, features of the game. Um, but yeah, it looks like you'll get to do your own base building, at least take over a base or something like that.
It'd be cool. I mean, there has
Oh,
been MMOs that have done that. There was the one I recently played. Oh, what was it called? It was, um, oh, I can't tell you. What was it? I just played it. Hold on. Continue on.
continue that. We're a mess. I'm
I know.
sorry, everybody. We are a mess.
We really had to throw this together on the fly because it was, we have some people we're playing with SWTOR tonight that can only play on certain days. So had to make a snap judgment here. Normally we would do a longer hour plus show. So we're trying to condense something
Ne-
into a 45-minute window.
next week, next week will be great. We
It will
promise.
be. It will be. What is that game
Almost
called?
as great as this week. No, what
Um,
game?
it was an MMO that I just played not too long ago. Just to try it. Let me go back in my log here. It was yeah, make a lot of content. Once Human. There we go. That game is actually a really good game. I enjoyed it a lot. The only reason I didn't continue playing is because I realized it was an MMO like where you have to there's log on bonuses, there's daily quests, there's all this stuff and at that point, I realized I'm not going to have the time to invest into just that. But if you do, it is a great game. It's got a cool sci-fi fantasy thing. You got a lot of stuff going on, base building, and it's a public server, so everybody's building bases around you, and you can see other people's stuff. And yeah, it's a really cool game. Then that kind of might lead into like the Dune, how they might handle that as far as the building goes. The only problem with that system is that why people don't like Once Human is that they have server wipes every 2 to 3 months, which has to happen because the server would just become unstable and crash if they did not wipe everybody's stuff. So that's the only issue with a base building server is how do you tackle not wiping everybody's stuff eventually because it will crash the game. So I'm that's cool, but also maybe concerning if it's something you're like, I want to build a long term year end idea here that might not be viable, but we'll see, I guess, how they tackle that because you're going to have to do wipes
So
every so often.
so here's an interesting, I know we didn't plan to talk about this, so we didn't do much planning at all, but I was thinking about it while you were talking. Um, which which do you think is better, uh, for an end game player in any game, any genre? Which would you prefer? Would you prefer a system, a housing system like ESO, where you can either through in-game unlock or, real life currency purchase a house and, like ESO, everybody gets the same house, but you have 100% customization options within that house. Like you can phase things halfway in and out of a wall to make a chair look better, or to you could put a light source in the floor. Like you can't see the light, but the light. So just like ESO, where you can fully customization, or would you prefer the things like Icarus, the things like Arc, where you have just a set of building materials, cosmetics, where you can fabricate your own castle, your own structures, like complete creativity with limited building, like uh, you know, ability, or something that's like, here's your empty shell, go nuts. Like, what would if you were designing your MMO and you
Okay,
could
so
put
this is
that
an MMO
in-game concept?
specifically.
Yeah, and MMO specifically.
Um, I th- if we're talking, it depends how. I mean, there's some nuance here. Is if they do it like a so say, I mean, because that's the thing. I think in a let's just for a hypothetical say they can give you a plot that's not on the server, but it's saved maybe locally to your PC or something like that. I don't know how they would do this or if this tech even makes sense. But somehow they make an area that you can build your own house and it won't be affected by a server wipe kind of deal. In that scenario, if it's a server wipe issue like Once Human where they have to just it gets destable, then I would prefer the other option, obviously. But if they give you maybe like packaged assets and said, here's some floors like ESO where you can get some floors, here's some stuff you can throw down. I think I would prefer I mean, I love being creative in that regard as far as just throwing stuff down and building to my heart's content. But I think for the masses though, they would prefer the pre-built how. And I don't in an MMO specifically, I'm okay with that kind of structure more than if I'm playing an Arc or Icarus, I prefer the let me do what I want because I like the free building aspects. But I think for as far as if I was making a game, I would just do prepackaged houses and maybe give you a free thing like ESO does where you can because you can do a lot with that. I mean, look at some of our builds we did in
Oh yeah.
ESO. Those
Oh
things
yeah.
were you don't even recognize like the one that you did in the void, whatever that
Oh yeah.
was. That thing was so
The
unrecognizable that it was even the
Cold Harbor
same.
Estate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was just a giant empty spot, granted. But you
Mhm.
did so much with that that it didn't even look like the same plot. So you can do a lot with that system. There's more than you realize. The only problem is they extort you out the butt for
Right.
the assets, which is a different problem altogether. But um, I think I'd prefer that for my MMO anyway, because I have different moods. And then like in an MMO too, I just want to kind of do some story, hack some stuff. I don't not always want to build from scratch. I guess it's nice having some
Yeah,
freedom.
I think I'm probably the same way. I think about my favorite builds over games, and there was one round of Ark that we played that I think we abandoned pretty early, where I was able to build a glass house kind of castle on top of a waterfall. And so, like, I could see I had a glass floor, but it was castle. It was a castle with a glass floor, and I could see the fish, and I could see the water rushing underneath the floor,
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yep.
heading over the edge. That was one of my favorite things to build, and I love being able to pick a spot and be like, "Oh, that cliffside, that's where I'm putting that."
Yeah.
Um, but I like the pre-made homes more, in the way of like you were talking about for the Cold Harbor Surreal Estate. You have one big plot of land, and I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna take these different elements from these different crafting pieces I could buy in the game, and I'm going to build a mansion at the edge of this cliff, and then I'm gonna wind down with a bunch of lava stones and create an
Yep.
artificial cave, and it's behind a secret entrance, and it's my bat cave for my Batman character."
Yep.
And, so I was thinking about that a little bit on, because I just got that apartment in Star Wars in Dromund Kaas, and, so I've been playing around with the housing a little bit in that game, and I thought, "Wow, this is pretty similar." I doubt I'm the only person that has this apartment on this whole planet. It's probably a pre-made, put it out there, let you do what you wish sort of thing.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think I hate to lose the drop it down, place it where you want, make it look how you want, because we made an awesome winter base and arc on top of that iceberg once. That castle was
That was pretty
massive.
sweet.
Took forever to generate. The closer you got, the more clear it got. But
Yeah, that's the problem with that stuff
so
too.
I
Yeah.
yeah. So I miss being able to drop it wherever you want, but I would have to agree that just like pre-made things are better. And I like that even though they charge you way too much money for it, real money for it. I like that in ESO, they give you the option of you can buy this house in the middle of solitude that is from the other games, and you can own that house and change it however you want, where you couldn't do that in the other game. Uh,
Yeah, that's one thing
but
they got right.
also here's just this empty plot that you can buy and do with what you wish, because that's pretty cool too.
A lot of people are looking into comments the Todd father, Todd Howard, said about Elder Scrolls 6, and there's likely, I mean, it's pretty much confirmed, but not that there's going to be some sort of base building system in that. Um, it's maybe more robust than even Fallout 4's settlement thing, which I never enjoyed that building system as much. It just kind of never, it was kind of slow and clunky for me in that game, but I'm assuming this will be a little more streamlined. But there's also people that are theorizing that you might get a ship or something like that that you can also customize and build on, and whether it's going to be a ship you actually drive around or if it's just going to be a glorified loading screen. I I really hope it's not a loading screen, but I'm assuming it probably just be get on your ship. You're going to pick a spot in the map,
And
and
he
instead
does.
of actually sailing, you're just going to go boop.
Yeah. No,
But
there are a lot of elements that they feel like Bethesda staples that they just have to get over and not include. And there's a lot of stuff that they should include. Because you think about Fallout 4 and Skyrim and Oblivion and the things that make those games great. And then you think about their game engine that they use, and what was it? Starfield.
yeah,
Like
Starfield's
why can you go from surface to space in No Man's Sky, but you can't do it in Starfield?
because the tech just
Like,
isn't there. They just can't do it. That's the problem. It's just their engine isn't built to do that, and that's the issue. Is when you're just that's the biggest gripe I had about Starfield was flying your ship was pointless because all you're doing is moving nowhere because all those
Yeah,
planets
it's
are
just
just
a
giant JPEGs, and you're just looking at a picture of a planet instead of an actual planet. So it's like, why am I even flying? It just that game was hindered so much by loading from planet to ship in space to then load again to a planet. It was immersion breaking, and that was probably its one of its biggest flaws was just the time. It's not that it even was a long load time. It just was. It was like, why do I have to click 3 times to go somewhere? It's like, just let me go from
yeah.
planet surface to another planet surface if that's what you're going to make me do. But that game, we enjoyed it more than other people, and we don't need to go too in depth on it. But I that game did start showing the age of Bethesda in general. I have zero confidence Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be. I I have a lot more pessimistic take on that than most.
You know, I
I don't
don't
see how
even
they
know if
recover.
Elder Scrolls I don't even know if Elder Scrolls 6 is actually gonna happen. I think it's a myth. I
It will
think they
it'll
cap.
happen, but I just don't think because Microsoft is going to make it happen. But I don't see it being any different from Skyrim, which is the problem. They need something snappier like Avowed's combat specifically. Um, they need a system like that, if not more robust. And I don't think it's going to happen. And
They
that's where they're going to feel archaic is when you're walking around and it's going to feel like Skyrim, which is not in today's time. That is not the mechanics are so old that just feels
well,
clunky
and
and janky.
the thing about it too, what it almost feels like because we got that first, teaser that was just landscaping, that was pre-COVID era when we got that, and there's been, like, nothing, no talk about it ever since, so we're talking, like,
Well,
5
there's a
years
little
at this
bit if you
point.
do dig some digging. Yeah, that I don't know why they put that post out then. That was
But
stupid because they started
it
pre-production on it after Starfield. So if you look at
it
when they finished
almost
Starfield, that's when they started the game.
it almost feels like, and this is probably their fatal flaw, it almost feels like they're trying to make the game of the year and not just letting it be the game of the year, they
I don't
I don't
think they're
know what the
capable of
intention
making a
was.
game in the year anymore. They're
It
totally up
might have
their own
been they
ass.
might have capped. Yeah,
Well, they
I
did
think
because they
they're
refused to
chasing too much money.
see flaws, and that's the problem. The Starfield, it was evident by Todd Howard's responses when he was talked about backlash of the game. He basically refused to acknowledge it and even said there's some people that love the game and some that don't. He didn't address any criticism. They never fix anything. They just and they're a company of 400 people, and a lot of people that have left that company said they're so um just slow to do anything. Everything has to go through checks, and then the check system will go from this guy down here and it's going to go around this big circle. But if someone gets to this point and has a problem with something that someone else did, it's got to go all the way back down here. And it's filtering through too many people. And they said as a result, nothing ever gets done. And then no teams want to help other teams because of time constraints and limited resources. There was a whole breakdown. There was some guy that left Bethesda recently and just why the whole place is like so why can't they put updates out and why does everything take 500 years for a company of that many people? And he said it's because they're just the structure at which they do things is and CD Project Red said something similar too about the Cyberpunk and the whole debacle that they had there. And they
They,
went through a whole
they can't work
restructure.
on anything they can't work on anything else because 'cause they're, busy prepping the next, edition of Skyrim.
Hmm. Yeah, that's what the moneymaker. But yeah, CD
They
Project
can't
Red said they
they
reorganized their
ca
whole company as a result of that game and went back to doing more of a traditional letting people work and do things without as many checks and balances, and that's how they figured would make a successful game with The Witcher 4 because it just the Cyberpunk had a similar structure and just that ended up being a mess too. So we'll see. I don't have any faith in Bethesda at this point, but maybe they'll surprise
That's
everybody.
sad. That's sad. They used to be great, but, it
I
does
mean,
seem
happens
like a
with
lot of
everybody, I guess. BioWare.
where did they go? Where did they go? The brainiacs that pumped out Game of the Year games. Where did Where'd the Rocksteady team that gave us Arkham City go? Where did the Skyrim team go? Where did these people go? Where they leave these big companies when they take a turn, where
Make
do
their
they
own
go?
studios.
Like, "Hey,
The Rocksteady
well."
guys, they formed a new studio. I don't think they've made a game yet, but I think it's in production. I don't know what they're working on. But the two guys that did run Rocksteady, they took a bunch of people with them from Rocksteady and made their own. They took a cash out or whatever and started their own. I think those companies are coming. You'll see some of that with that game coming out from the Witcher former Witcher devs that made their own studio that you were telling me about the other day. What was that?
Uh, well, which I'm confused. I have no idea.
Um,
Which one?
there was a fantasy game that was coming down the works that was made by former Witcher. There was a trailer for it at one of the Game Con things, and we were talking about it a little bit. I can't remember the name, but regardless, I
Oh,
think we're going to see
yeah.
the fruit of those studios soon in the next couple of years because it seems like they all kind of left around similar times when the corporate people were buying out other companies. So hopefully we'll see some really good games down the line that are made from people that are passionate and talented. Because yeah, a lot of those guys are
Yeah.
gone. BioWare guys left. Even Rockstar, they lost a lot of talent too. So they got to go
Well,
somewhere.
it's just interesting that they disappear and they go to build these other studios and, like, the talent's there, but the money's not, so you kinda get a half-baked thing. I hope that's not the case, but
When you see games made by
we'll
like
see.
one guy, it's amazing. It's like you see this amazing
Oh,
game
I
and it's
know.
it's like one person did this and it's like, what? Why do we have
Well, y
400 people that can't do one thing, but yet one guy can make a mod and fix half the stuff in a Bethesda game, and yet they're
yeah,
incapable
no,
of
it's
doing it for
crazy.
6, 7 months.
It's crazy what people, as individuals are capable of, and, like, eh, we joke about Skyrim still continuing, that's because they handed it over to the modding community, and the same thing they wanted to do with Starfield work. But, yeah, there's some cool stuff rumored on the horizon. It'd be nice to see
Yeah.
love and detail poured into those like they used to be, but, yeah, it just kinda feels like a dirty cash grab, and we still shell it out for them because we're that desperate, I guess.
Well, I think it's just a cycle. I mean, you have the great studios. BioWare was once a great studio. You had the Bethesdas and all that whole era of gaming, and then they get bought up and gutted and made into cash cows. And then you have the Larians, the CD Project Reds, and the darlings of the industry now that eventually the people that run them will retire and then they'll get bought up and then they'll become the evil people. And then we'll just keep moving this cycle of there'll always be good games, I'm hoping, by people that are passionate about making them. You just got to support the ones that do. And yeah, don't.
And see, and that's the real reason we're playing the Sith in the Star Wars. It's not that we like to be evil, we're just realists. Might as well make the choice now.
I mean, I kind of like it a little bit.
Just a little bit, yeah. Force choke somebody, lightning them.
All right. You got any closing thoughts? Right up against our
Uh,
time.
yeah, no,
Oh, you want to talk about what we
no,
want to do
no.
next week? What are we thinking? Let's give a preview. So you want to do Clone Wars? You want to start with Clone Wars? Or
Yeah, why don't we ride the Star Wars train until its inevitable demise, and we start kicking out some Star Wars stuff. We can definitely talk. We can. I don't
Clone
think
Wars
either
might
one
even
of
be a
us has
two-parter.
time. I don't think either one of us have time to sit down and watch all 8
No,
seasons and 3 spinoffs, but,
we've
it's still
seen it
pretty fresh in
enough.
my mind.
Yeah,
Yeah. We can talk about highlight episodes. We can talk about story arcs that are great. Yeah, it'll definitely be more than a it'll either be one very long episode or be,
yeah.
for
Probably
sure.
might even break it up into two, but that's fine too. Because that's going to be a really fun one. I'm excited for that. It's one of our favorite Star Wars properties. So be
One of the
plenty to talk
best.
about, and we'll figure out how we're going to structure that episode. I'm not sure if we'll do how we want to go through it as far as like beginning to end or just favorite moments. I'm not sure yet, but yeah. So look forward to that next week. You can catch it Wednesday live. Yeah, Wednesday night
Yeah.
live, probably, unless we switch days. But we'll hopefully be Wednesday live, and then it'll be Friday at 3 p.m. Yeah, thanks
And
guys for
then
watching.
if anybody else has a suggestion for us, we can jump on there too.
Yeah, throw it in the comments. I see our other videos continue to pile on views, so thanks you guys for watching. I like a slow burn. Makes me excited every
Yeah,
time I wake up. Yeah. Till next week.
that's what gets you excited? Alright, till
Peace out.
next week.